Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today is cost accounting subject class. It's for third semester, cost accounting 1. Before I start the lecture, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Dawood. My qualification is I have done bachelor from University of Peshawar, then master from University of Peshawar, then my other qualification is from Abbasian University. So before we are going to start the cost accounting meanings, object, elements and classifications, first of all, the policies of the classes: keep silent your mobile phones, then be on time, be friendly, ask questions, don't criticize on anyone, leave your work and life attention, and then study hard. So in this lecture we discuss about introduction to cost accounting, number 4, meaning of cost and cost accounting, objective of cost accounting, element of cost, classification of cost and calculation of various cost. We discuss one by one in this lecture these 4 topics. Cost. What is the meaning of cost? Cost means the amount of expenditure incurred on or attributed to a given things, or the amount of equivalent paid or charged for some things. Cost accounting mungoi zushta. Cost accounting chas. Manai cost accounting chas. Cost accounting is the starting product by industry that we produce a product in the factory, in the industry, in the company. Starting expenses na the end of the product cost cost. These are the definition of cost accounting. The amount of equivalent paid or charged for something. The something means that we produce a product in the company. All the expenses that is known as the cost of the product. Then difference between cost and expenses. Cost mean we can cost represent the amount invested in obtaining a product or services have not yet expired. Cost means cost means how the value chikam product man the total summa kharcha ragali starting na tar end pori chimung how product chide the sale kaulu the para tayaru that we prepare for the sale. The end of the sale product is chitsumra kharcha akhrajat perazi no agi tamung se shevele shu cost wele shu expenses akhrajat masarif meaning of expense that cost which has expired cost that cost which has expired and which has been charged against revenue of prepaid expenses. There are different expenses in that we paid in the industry, like indirect expenses, direct expenses. We have 2 types of expenses in the company: direct expenses and indirect expenses. What is direct expenses? What is indirect expenses? Indirect expenses, the external, out of the industry, out of the company, out of the firm, out of the industry, company or firm. So for example, like transport, security, rent, these are the example of the indirect expenses. Direct expenses are those expenses which they are external expenses in the industry. For example, I will give you example of the indirect expenses. Direct expenses like stationery expenses, bill, these are etc. are the other expenses, like we can say this electricity bill, like others. These are the expenses of the direct expenses of the company or industry. Definition of expense: the cost which is expired or which has been charged against revenue of a period. So next slide is cost accounting meaning. The main definition of cost accounting is that cost accounting is concerned with the determination of cost of product, process and project in order to report the correct amount of on a company's financial statement, or the systematic record and analysis of the cost of material, labor and overhead charged to production. Cost accounting, we can say that the third definition of the cost accounting is the branch of accounting that we control the cost of production and distribution. Cost accounting munka sheko and a cost accounting ki mung production controlling ko, the distribution controlling ko, analysis ko the cost sumra cost padi per unit mandi yani per product mandi mung sara sumra cost ragale de in total production mandi sumra cost ragale de per unit yani per product mandi mung sara sumra cost ragale de. Then we can say that objective of cost accounting. Objective of cost accounting is estimation of cost control de, cost reduction de, cost sanga kamo, determining selling price sanga be pukam kimat be sell ko, facilitating preparation of financial and other statement sanga ba jodo, preparation of financial statement sanga jodo, like we can say an income statement, balance sheet statement, cash flow statement, providing basis for operating policies. सब रकम policy आने बचरे मुर्ता provide को. These are the second one is second lecture che मुंगसरा कम दे that we have element of cost material दे मुंगसरा object की मुंगवी लो चे दे element of cost element मुंगसरा से दी. These are the element of cost. The substance which the finished good in made is known as material. Raw material, like we can say that raw material, for example wood, chairs chitam jodo, door, windows, like plastic nam the different things, plastic shizunam jodo, chair and plastic doors, like we can use in the home, different things like they are made by plastic. So the other is direct material. What is direct material and indirect material? These are the types of materials. Direct material is one which can be directly or easily identified in the product. For example, wood and furniture, clothes and dress, etc. Direct material are those material which are usually direct in the production. For example, wood. The wood namu ch jodo, largete na jodo, chair na jodo, windows, doors, chairs, like we can say other things in our tables in judo. These are made from the wood. So these are the direct raw materials like chairs, windows, tables and table, chairs, windows, doors. These are the direct materials. Other indirect materials, the remaining things, the remaining raw material is indirect materials. هغه شیزونه چې کوم نمون په پروډکشن کې استعمال کړو چې کوم remaining پاتې شو هغه زموږ څه شو indirect material شو. See, then we can say the element of cost. The cost element موږ سره څه. What are the element of cost? Labor. The human effort required to convert the material into finished good is called labor. Labor are those persons, those employees, they are work in the company, firm, industry, or indirect labor. There are two types of labors. These are the direct labor and indirect labor. Direct labor are those laborers who works on the products, who sit on the machines, they produce a product into finished good. هغه کسانو ته ویل کیږي لیبرز چې کوم په ماشین باندې ناست وي هغه پروډکشن کوي د څه شي د پروډکټ پروډکشن کوي هغه ته موږ څه ویل شو ډایرکټ لیبر ویل شو. انډایرکټ لیبر ار دوز پرسن چې هغه انډایرکټ چې د کمپنۍ کې دننه کار کوي سکیورټي ګارد وي ډرایورز وي اور نور ایکسټرا کسان چې کوم وي چې هغه پروډکشن نه کوي دا هغه نور اکټیویټیز پرفارم کوي په څه کې په کمپنۍ کې دے ار پرفارم ادر اکټیویټیز ان د انډستری. Then element of cost, other expenses, factory overhead. Factory overhead are those expenses, they are over, like meaning is overhead. are those expenses other than direct materials and direct labors. Without direct labors and direct materials expenses چې موږ سره څومره راځي they are factory overhead expenses. Indirect material مخکې ما ویلو چې indirect material او indirect labor دلته موږ سره ورکړي دي په دې slides کې چې on which cannot be easily identified in the product. For example, lubricant, oil, insurance, lighting, etc. These are indirect materials. Which next one, element of cost, indirect labor. Indirect labor is one which cannot be conventionally identified or attributed wholly to a particular job, product or process. Example, foreman's salary, works managers salary, gatekeepers salaries, etc. The indirect labors the manager show salaries mo gatekeeper security guard the payment ko salary work indirect labors direct expenses, indirect factory overhead or direct factory overhead. Indirect expenses are those expenses which cannot be directly allocated to a particular job, process or product. For example, factory rent, factory rent number ko da and this is indirect expenses. Factory overhead rent mungo the building karaye mungo worko da mun sar se da indirect expenses da. Then the third one is prime cost, basic cost, basic bunyadi शुरुआत से तुम खर्चे मुझ सर की देता prime cost, basic cost. How can we find prime cost? This is the formula of the prime cost. Direct material cost. What is direct material cost? Direct material thus I explained and then I also explained the direct labor cost. What is direct labor cost? So direct labor cost, direct material cost plus direct labor cost is equal to prime cost. This is the formula. How can we find the prime cost and basic cost? Plus direct material cost plus direct labor cost is equal to prime cost. Then we can conversion cost. It is the cost of converting raw material into finished good. Like the name of the conversion, conversion converts raw material into finished good. Munch complete the raw material rawdu pa haga munch de pagi mani process ko haga finish good to tabdil ko mung tab malumi gi conversion cost pa di mani mung sar finish good to chaga ka sumra peragla. The formula chada we have here given a formula of this conversion cost. Direct labor cost plus FOH cost is equal to conversion cost. How can we find conversion cost? Direct labor cost plus factory overhead cost. FOH mean factory overhead, state factory overhead, short form factory overhead. FOH cost is equal to conversion cost. Then factory cost manufacturing cost. It is the actual cost charge to production during a particular period. Direct material cost plus direct labor cost plus FOH cost is equal to factory overhead cost. It is the formula factory cost, factory overhead cost formula. How can we find factory overhead cost? Then we can classification of cost, fixed cost, variable cost or semi-variable cost. What are these things? Third one is, fifth slide is fixed cost. What is fixed cost? Fixed cost are constant cost are those costs which remain fixed in total regardless of the change in the volume of production or sale. For example, rent, depreciation, insurance, execute salaries. Fixed cost pakapne ke musara different employees chade different activities perform like managers, security guard, laborers. They with the company give the fixed salary to those person, to these persons to pay rent. Building of the rent is fixed. Like depreciation, we use machinery in the company. After some years, the volume of the machine is decreased, the cost of the machine is decreasing, is known as depreciation. Insurance man ko paid ko dagi mangre se pagar kare show kare fix kare. Execute salaries, different salaries man provide paid ko difference employees ta pachata pakapne ki danana naga ta fix salaries man ga ko se ko work ko. Then variable cost, these are those costs which fluctuated in production to the volume of production. If the volume of production increase, so the cost are also increase on services. So vice versa. For example, direct material, direct labor, foul light, etc., freight, etc. Direct material dam sara change ki during the production chedem sara direct material supply ko, the different supplies na mung chete purchase ko no yo pa yo rate man mung to purchase supply kai pa bal rate man supply supply kai raw materials, direct labor, the labor chidi mung sara different labor we wages chi supplies ki mung sara, the transport chi kam wages yo pa yo rate man mung tak supply kai यानी the transport चिकम कराया चदा आगा चदा मुंतरा की power चदे बिजली बिल time to time चदे यो में assuring की बिल राजी change की no etc. These are the variable cost of the company.